Bonjour, bienvenue. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for stopping by. I want to do a quick video for you guys on 5 things I do before I leave. This video is going to be particularly helpful if you're planning a long stay somewhere and or you're leaving the country. And if you're doing both, you definitely need to watch this video because these are 5 not so obvious things that you need to know. Let's get started. Travel tip number 1, make a video and or take photos of your house before you leave. Think I'm crazy? Here's why. Let's say you're sitting on this beautiful beach and you suddenly think, did I leave my stove on? Is the oven on? I don't know. I don't remember. I cooked my eggs right before my flight, but did I leave it on? If you have a video, you can go look. So here's what I do. The last thing I do before I leave my house is I budget about 10 minutes because it really takes about 6 to 7. And I just do a quick, well, not quick, I do a walkthrough of my house and I actually talk it out. Like I show myself, here's your oven, it's turned off. And I have a list of things I do before I leave. I turn my oven off. I make sure that the refrigerator and the freezer doors are closed because I've left those open before because I'm kind of a little absent-minded sometimes. I like to leave my washing machine if I'm going to be gone for a long time with the lid up so that there's airflow and it's not moldy when I come home. So I show myself the washing machine door. I'm like, look, the washing machine door. And I take pictures of valuables that are in the house. Why do I do this? Just in the off chance something bad happens while I'm gone, I have proof of what was in the house before I left for my insurance company. I have some nice artwork, so I make sure that my artwork is documented. Every time I leave, I say the date, I say where I'm going, what airline I'm flying, and the flight number, and I do that so that if I ever have to prove that that was in fact the date, there's actually a third party that can vouch for me that that is an accurate date, right? And it helps to authenticate the video for the date. So, tip number 1, take a photo, take a video, do it the last thing before you leave. Put your bags at the door and do your walkthrough. You'll thank me later. Tip number 2, deal with your mail several days before you leave. Whether you're going to be gone for a while and you do vacation hold or you're going to forward or whatever you're going to do, I learned something because I did not deal with my mail. I assumed, because it's, the year 2024, that I would be able to deal with the U.S. Postal Service online and hold my mail. Flat wrong. The U.S. Postal Service, I guess, maybe they still use a horse and buggy in part of the countries. I don't really know, Pony Express or whatever, but online is just not their thing. And so I went to hold my mail and found out after I had already left the country for the next 3 to 6 months, that I was not going to be able to do that. So deal with your mail. However you're going to deal with it. And I'll give you some tips later about ways you might consider dealing with it if you're going to be gone for a long time. Tip number 3, make a data plan. So we all have international roaming now. It's fairly inexpensive. I think AT&T for my plan is like $10 a day. And that sounds really good, except when you figure out that 10 days is $100 and you can normally buy a local SIM card for about 20 bucks. Depending on the country. In Honduras, you can get as cheap as $2. In France, I think my local plan is about $30 for the month. Maybe it's 50. I don't know, but it's a lot less than that. But it does have some pretty severe data restrictions. So make a data plan. So let me give you some things that might help you there. 1, look and see what you can get locally. And there's a lot of companies selling international SIM cards. In my opinion, those are a ripoff. Don't use those. Look at the local rules and regulations. Like France will let you get a tourist card with Orange. That's one of their big cell carriers. There's other companies selling you, and all they're doing is buying an Orange card and marking it up, right? So you don't need to do that. You can even get the one you buy at the airport in France and Paris. It's the same one that I buy. It's the same one you get at a store in Paris, so you can just buy it at the airport. But look at your phone, look at how much data you use. I'm gonna wager that's an astronomical amount of data because everything's on the cloud now. So you're gonna have to go through all of your apps and turn off everything that you don't want pulling cellular data. I get 50 megabytes a month or 50 gigabytes a month on my plan. That's not actually a lot because in the United States, I would easily use 500 to 600 gigabytes of cellular data. So turn off Facebook. You don't need it when you're sitting on the train. Turn off anything that you don't actually need on a regular basis, but also download some things that you might consider like music, right? Particularly anything that you would want to play while you're out and about. You might want to go ahead and download your phone. Google Maps will let you download portions of their map. Download the map for the city you're going to be in. Why? Because even if you have cellular data, you want to use a lot less of it, but also you may be in a building where you want to look something up and you don't actually have cell phone service. I can tell you, Chateau Versailles, you do not have cell phone service in large portions of the grounds. So take the time, download the maps, take you a couple of minutes, and then you've got them with you. You're using a lot less data and you've actually got something that will help you. Tip number 4, pack medicine. Okay, so I'm in France. I'm in a very civilized, beautiful country. Guess what you can't get in France? Pepto-Bismol. I don't know why you can't get Pepto-Bismol in France. There's a lot of things you can't buy in France. Guess what else you can't get? Benadryl. I would love to give my dog some Benadryl right now. Can't. Got to go to a doctor to get a prescription. Why is Benadryl a prescription drug in France, not in the United States? I don't know and I don't care. What I do know is I learned my lesson the hard way. Pack yourself a pharmaceutical kit. For prescription drugs, make sure that you have an extra couple of weeks because, for example, I take certain prescriptions and I've already talked to a French pharmacist. They are not readily available in France. They can get them. They're going to require a prescription. And because of what I take, there's a lot of hoops that I have to jump through to get that prescription in France. So it's not just an automatic, oh, he's got a U.S. prescription, so we're going to give it to him. So make sure you have extra weeks of your own drugs, but also pack some basic things. Pack some Pepto-Bismol, pack some Advil, because you may be in an area that A, is hard to get it, and B, you may not even be able to get it. I don't know why. I learned this lesson the hard way. They did have similar drugs, but they didn't have drugs I was familiar with. And when you're sick, you really want something you're familiar with, right? Tip number 5, realize you may lose access to data. And when I say that, this actually recently happened to me. Realize that some US websites will block you just because you're out of the country. For example, I went to pay a bill in the last few days and I got access denied. It happened to me twice, actually, in the last 2 weeks, where I went to log on to a US-based website, companies that I've used all the time, and I couldn't. There's nothing more frustrating than realizing that you are geo-blocked out of the country. Now, this could be solved with a VPN. However, I did not plan for a VPN. So if that's part of your plan, getting a VPN, or just realize that, for example, you may be locked out of your financial institution if you use a smaller financial institution. There is content that is blocked. For example, I can get certain songs on iTunes in the United States that I cannot get in other countries. Why? I assume it has to do with some sort of royalty rights and music royalty rights and what countries are licensed in, etc. But the point being, make a plan for when you lose access to certain content. You might want to check with if you're going to have payments due, you might want to check with your financial institution ahead of time. Can I log in from, whatever country I'm visiting? Or alternatively, just make the payments or set them up on some sort of auto pay. But if you're going to be gone for a while, make a plan. All right, those are my 5 tips for international travel and or long stays. So if you like this video and want to see more content like it, please subscribe so that you don't miss any updates. Also, I would love if you join the conversation. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. What are your best travel tips? I'll add them to in a future video. Thank you so much for watching and spending your valuable time on this channel. Take care.